Okay, it's a retake, a revisionist take. It's an attempt to debunk a lot of mythology that's become encrusted in the public dialogue. Things about the Reagan era that Republicans believe as a matter of course are pure myths.
Right.
Things about the New Deal, including the fact that in 1937 there was a recession because they tried to balance the budget. That's not true. Not even remotely true. What happened was, as I don't know if we got into this yesterday, there was an accidental massive stimulus when the bonus payment was made in the summer of 1936 to the World War I.
Right, of course.
Massive.
Okay, right.
And they didn't realize that they gave them bonds, and they didn't realize that all the veterans, and there were 3 million who received them, were so desperate they would cash in their bonds immediately. They thought they would be cashed in over 10 years. So there was the equivalent of a $1 trillion per stimulus in today's dollars.
Right.
And all of a sudden, the retail took off, the shelves were empty, reorders, inventories were built, industrial production took off, employment, and then the veterans spent their last dollar, the bonus was gone,
and went away.
The stores quieted down, the shelves didn't move, and it ended, and that had nothing to do with the Treasury Secretary, Roosevelt's Treasury Secretary, worried about the deficit.
Now, why do you think, see, when I asked you yesterday about, okay, fine, suppose we let him go down, you said it'll be constrained to Wall Street. And as a former partner of Lazard, I wouldn't cry about that. But my sense was that there was enough mortgage backs, et cetera, in the equities of community banks, other banks, et cetera.
No, you got to read my book, because I show that in the entire Main Street commercial banking system that had a footing, 11 trillion of asset balance sheet, there was 100 billion only of securitized mortgage debt. Only 100 billion, which is nothing. You know, it's like 0.1%. All of the securitized...
Even with their leverage.
Yeah, no, because it would have been written, they wouldn't have had a panic dumping of those few securities.
Okay. In that case, what my reaction would be is, maybe with the benefit of information, thought, and calm, you could come to that view. I am more sympathetic, even though I'm not a fan of Paulson and Tim, because they were like it.
They weren't calm.
They were calm.
Panicked.
They weren't panicked.
The facts that I just gave you about the community banks are published every week. They could have looked into it. They could have realized that all the securitized toxic garbage, CDOs, CDO squared, all the rest of it, was either on the inventory shelf of Wall Street banks.
But you don't think that after Lehman they just freaked out?
Well, they should have, but they shouldn't have. But I call it the BlackBerry panic.
Right.
They freaked out because institutions they knew and loved, like Goldman and Morgan Stanley, were going down. I argue it wouldn't have made any difference. And there was no run on retail banks. Anyway,
if they had known that, they probably still would have done the same thing. But it would have been.
No, Paulson was bad. Paulson was bad. Okay.
I think of him as well-meaning.
Yeah, but he was in the wrong job. He was an M&A maven.
Right.
And these guys, you know what M&A guys are like, right? They have
yes.
Okay, I was one too.
Yes,
okay?
I know.
But it's a attention span of 5 minutes. And he was racing around the world doing deals.
Right.
And he didn't understand it's not the job of the Treasury Secretary to do deals.
Right.
And he got himself all hot and bothered and lathered and sweaty. And all of a sudden, he basically thought he was running the world. He did. And Bush had no clue, and Treasury took over. I call it an internal coup d'etat, because the Treasury was running the government. Congress was totally buffaloed. They were scared to death.
And the White House was...
And then Bernanke runs around telling them about the Great Depression, which is a lot of BS, never going to even be close to a Great Depression, and for structural reasons that I lay out.
You have now convinced me that I will actually read the book for that piece.
No, chapter 31.
Are you still at Blackstone?
Oh, no, I left one time
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yes.
But chapter 31 is called Bernanke's False Depression Code. And I think I've laid out pretty well the difference between 1930, which was night and day from today. Mm-hmm. We were a massive exporter, creditor, and our industrial economy tanked when all our customers around the world disappeared. This time it was China that was the massive creditor and industrial. And they tanked. The Hoovervilles were in Sichuan province.
Right, that's true.
Here, we were basically a huge importer, debtor, consumer economy, and after a slight downward shift of, millions of jobs, which wasn't good, it bottomed. it bottomed before any of the stimulus. It bottomed in June 2009 before any of the stimulus
That's
took
who I
over.
want to see. That's who I want
I've
to see the
got that.
data.
I've got
Okay.
stuff. Okay. All right. Hey there. How are you?
Former Congressman Mark Kennedy.